What's up, guys? Brandon with Strict Vision Athletics here with Andrew and Jackson from Team Legacy. What's going on, guys?
How's it going? Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it.
Totally.
Taking your time out of your day for
out of
these
the
two
busy
schmucks over
schedule.
here.
Hey, man, I love it. This is probably one of my favorite things to spend my time with anyway, so it's easy to give my time to something like this. But yeah, I'm excited. I wanted to have you guys on. I want to talk about, what it is you're doing. Mm-hmm. What's the new company all about, and what is it you guys? Why don't you just start with yourselves? What are you guys doing?
Yeah. Andrew, do you want to kind of start from from your story, like a short?
Well, okay, so there's a long story and there's like a shorter story. Which one do you guys want?
I would say, I don't know. I would say, start
I'll kind of paraphrase the long story. So about a year, I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's one of my passions. And it was about a year ago, I tore my meniscus in my right knee. Mm-hmm. So I was out of Jiu-Jitsu for I think 8 months. I had to get surgery and everything. Oof. So that was shitty. But my first day back to Jiu-Jitsu from the entire recovery, I tore my right hamstring. So I was like, fuck.
Goodness.
Again. Yeah, it tore off the bone. I thought I was going to have to get it reattached in surgery again. But I was on Instagram that night just scrolling. The night that I tore my hamstring, I was just scrolling through Instagram. And I found a massage therapist that does a lot of massages for bodybuilders and fighters and stuff. So I was like, okay, that's perfect. Maybe she can work on me and try to figure something out with her. So I scheduled a session with her, and we started to build a really good relationship. And she does this thing called Reiki. It's like this energetic balance thing.
I've seen it.
Yeah, so she became a pretty important part of my family, actually. She came over when my grandma had cancer, so she would come over and help her with the Reiki stuff and try to soothe her in any way that she could. So she did a lot for our family, but she bought me these tickets to a seminar, and I didn't know what the seminar was about. Mm-hmm. She wouldn't tell me. Apparently the seminar, you can't tell I guess people that haven't gone to it what it's about. So it was a 3-day seminar, 12 hours a day. I knew nothing about it.
Wow.
So I was super suspicious and kind of I don't know what it's about. I really don't want to go. But I went anyways because she bought the tickets. And the seminar was really cool. It's called Psi Seminars, and it's a self-development seminar where it goes deep into subconscious programming and different events in your life that create the person you are, and how to kind of get rid of a lot of buried baggage that you have. And there's a lot more that can be said about that seminar, but that's where I met Jackson, Corvin, and Amir. So Amir is the president of Line Mortgage, and then Corvin is our branch manager, and then Jackson is, I guess, the business developer, but you don't really like that term.
No.
So that's
There's got to be a better term for it. I'll find one.
Okay.
But I mean, that's kind of what he does. He's not a loan officer. He literally just gets people in front of other people, and then cultivates a relationship, and that's kind of his role, and he's really good at it. So I kind of just observed them throughout the weekend, and I was like, wow, these guys have really good energy, and I like their confidence in the way they carry themselves and the way they speak. Mm-hmm. And I think it was the Sunday. It was the last day of the seminar. I was like, fuck, okay, I got to talk to these guys today, or this opportunity is not going to be here anymore. Yeah. And I was still training at the time, doing my personal training stuff. But I was ready for something else. I was like, okay, this is kind of slowing down. I'm not sure where it's going to go. Mm-hmm. Not that I don't like personal training. I love it. Yeah. But so I went to the bathroom, and as I was walking into the bathroom, Amir, the president, walked out, and we almost hit each other. I was like, oh, okay, that's perfect. So we exchanged numbers, and I told him that I'd come work for him for free for as long as I have to, just kind of be around them and shadow them and see what they do and learn more about the industry. I barely knew what a mortgage was. A month. I've been with them for a month. And yeah, dude, ever since then, it's been the last month has felt like 6 months worth of information that I've kind of developed and downloaded. But I think it was the third day that I was in the office with you guys that you got the call that we were going to get the Gilbert branch. Yeah. And yeah, it's just weird. Every day that I spend with these guys, crazy. I met you at the coffee shop. We started going to that coffee shop. And yeah, it's just weird, the series of events that led up to it, and then now where my life is compared to where it was not even 4 weeks ago. So
how long have you guys even been working together? How long?
So since the seminar, it's been probably a month.
So it's only been so this is literally brand new.
Well, not for him.
Yeah.
Him and Corvin, our branch manager, they've known each other for 4 years?
Yeah, 3.5, 4 years.
But with Lion Mortgage, only 7 months.
Yeah, since last year in September is when we opened the first branch of Lion Mortgage. Before that, they were just kind of working out of an apartment, basically.
Sure.
Yeah.
They started Lion Mortgage out of a condo.
Yeah.
Just Amir, the president, and then the processor, Carrie.
Heck yeah, man. No overhead.
No.
So what is Team Legacy? What is that?
So Team Legacy is going to be more of, because just, with Lion Mortgage, I wanted to work with them because I saw the drive and the ambition from our CEO, and I just knew it's important to have good leadership.
Sure.
Because you are an average of your association, and seeing his results that he accomplished at his age, because he's 28 years old, I don't know anyone else who has their own mortgage bank at 28 years old. I don't. And so I pursued him and just kind of learning what to do to develop, that kind of attitude and the mindset that it takes to accomplish those results. So over the last 7 or 8 months, just learning and absorbing everything I could from him, and now to the point where you can branch off, and the processes and the systems are already in place. All you have to do is just develop business, your own business, meaning go out there and get in front of realtors, have meetings with them, sit down and just make a friend. And, people are going to want to do business with you just because they like you.
Sure.
And so we've gotten to the point where we've done more and more volume each month, to the point where we go, we have enough money. Let's just go rent an office space and go do our own thing. Kind of leave the nest in a sense. And it's happened relatively quickly. And now we're thinking, let's brand and market ourselves as our own entity in a sense. So that's Team Legacy. It's just basically, it started with just me and Corvin. And now it's grown to having Andrew, and then we got a couple other loan officers. And
I was going to ask, which of you is a loan officer? Are either of you guys loan officers?
I'm not, and then Andrew's studying to get his.
I'm not licensed yet.
Gotcha.
But I'm kind of already replicating the systems that they already put in place. And it's not hard, at least for me. Like, it's just, you have to go out and kind of hunt in a sense, and find the realtors and set the relationships and cultivate the relationships. And if you do that, I'm literally just following what Jackson has done.
Sure.
So I'm not even licensed yet, but I've got in front of like almost 10 realtors in the past, I think, week and a half. I'm already developing really good relationships, and it's the systems that he put in place. It's a simple thing to follow.
The big overarching reason that I wanted to talk to you guys was because you guys are starting something from the ground up, and you're at the ground level, and it's really exciting.
Yeah,
it is. And the guys here at Strict Vision, we're starting something not from the ground. We've worked for a while at this now, and we're sort of expanding. But I wanted to talk to you about, team building. What is it that you guys, what do you look for? What creates leadership? What do you guys see as, the different roles for the different people, and what do you look for when you look to either partner or hire someone?
So how I see it, so I'll give you a little backstory too. So, because there's so many layers to everything. Back in 2017, I was working in restaurant management for Chipotle. I was making $13 an hour rolling some burritos. So these burritos are massive, like freaking like a newborn baby.
Dude, you should see my burritos. You should see what I eat. Oh man, destroy.
I bet they hate you. They see you come through and like, here we go.
Know me.
This guy, double tortillas, double meat. And but I worked for them for about 4 years, and as time went on, I just became more frustrated because I felt like I was overlooked. Because I was on someone else's chessboard, and they were determining where I was going.
Yeah,
and
you're an employee.
You're
a wheel in the cog, or cog in the wheel. I don't know what.
Yeah, cog in the wheel. And I ended up meeting a guy, very very successful gentleman, like multi-millionaire, and I pursued him, and he kind of took me under his wing. This separate from Amir, like this guy's different. Okay. And so this was before Amir. So for in 2017, for about 3 years, every day he was mentoring me on, because I grew up very shy, timid, awkward, quiet, no social skills, no friends.
Really?
He was homeschooled. I was homeschooled.
I was too.
Yeah.
No shit. I'm telling you, I was homeschooled too. I was till about 8th grade, seventh grade. Yeah, 7th grade, I went to school for the first time.
Okay.
It's an interesting introduction to the educational system.
It's a culture shock.
There's positives and negatives to
Totally.
it, though.
Oh,
It's
totally.
easy to pick on the negatives, but I'll tell you, man, it gave me a really strong relationship with my family. It really did.
Good.
And that's, as you age and get older, you do realize the benefits of that from your childhood.
Right.
And somebody who just kind of, threw their kids in school their whole life, and you're separate from your siblings because you're older than your siblings.
Right.
It's just different. Different than that. But yeah, me too.
Yeah. So, and then I was a total nerd. I mean, I would play video games because I was at home all day, right? For like 8, 9, 10 hours a day, every day.
There you go.
Xbox Live, like that was my
bet.
thing. And so that's kind of how I grew up. And so I ended up pursuing this guy, and he taught me what does it take to actually be successful, no matter what you do. When it comes down to just your mindset, your attitude, because the difference between successful and unsuccessful people is the way they think. More importantly, about yourself. Do you view yourself as capable, as worthy, as a winner, or not good enough, not smart enough, too stupid, too dumb? Because you act out how you view yourself. You act out your beliefs of yourself, right?
Yeah.
And because of that, you have the results that you currently have in life right now based upon the way you think about yourself. And so this guy taught me how to think about myself, because I used to beat myself up.
Yeah.
And he told me if we could, about a way we think about ourselves, if it manifested physically, we would be bruised, teeth would be falling out, bleeding, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
we're beating ourselves
Yeah,
up.
yeah. Somebody who doesn't see themselves as a improving or perfect person. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. And so every day we had a little voicemail system set up. So it was kind of like an accountability system, because I'd read books and listen to podcasts, because he was teaching me, okay, reading books gets you in the mind of someone else, because that's what a book is. Someone wrote down their mind into text.
Yeah.
Right, and you're reading it. And so he got me reading books, listening to podcasts of successful people, and then every day I would let him know what I did for that day, and he'd kind of like guide me through my days, right?
Yeah.
And then
You've listened to is it How I Built This? It's the Billionaire podcast. It's about the they have on these big, huge entrepreneurs. I think it's called How I Built This. My brother sent it to me.
Sounds familiar.
But just listening to the daily habits of somebody who's
Right.
a millionaire.
Yeah.
I think they're millionaires. I don't think they're big, because you wouldn't have enough people.
Yeah.
But they're millionaires. And, guys who, the one I listened to recently was the guy who invented Airbnb. And he was, just talking about what he does and how he lives his day, and he gives up at 5, and he's got simple things. He's like, I try to read a page in a book every day. I work out. I try to write out my whole week in advance, Sunday before 8, like all these little steps, and just implementing maybe 2 of those things would improve anybody's life. And so there's so much information out there. Just taking the time to really seek it and just kind of fish it out and just implement a couple of them.
Yeah.
That's something that I've found to be really helpful for me.
Absolutely.
It's the small things throughout time done consistently add up to really big results. It's The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. I don't know if you read that.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, really good. It's just basically your routine times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Where does that get you?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's why it's so important to have an end result in mind before you start, right? So you kind of so you can break it down day by day. And there's have you heard of John Maxwell?
Yes.
Yeah, John Maxwell says your success is hidden in your daily routine. Success or failure, it's there in your daily routine.
Yeah.
Because that's all it is. Like, your results are just a compound of your days.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Basically the same thing for the gym, right? Your body's it's just a result of just time.
Daily time
That's
spent, physically training, but and seeing that success is no different in anything. Just, we talked about this, I think, the other day briefly. Monetary success is just one way to view and measure success, and it's not necessarily the best way to measure that.
No.
I don't like measuring success in that way, but seeing a goal manifest, something that takes a minimum of a year, something that takes a year and finally pays off after that time. I tell people when they ask me about this, how did it all, what happened? I tell them that, this company didn't make any money for 5 years.
Like most companies.
Like most companies.
Yeah.
It takes that amount of time and patience. And I hate to use the word vision because I don't even think of myself as like a visionary because I didn't really see where this would go until it kind of fell into it over time. And as time progressed and I started to see what it could be, I started to, really dream big. I started to look at guys like the team over at Elite FTS, and I'm just like, okay, that was so unachievable 2-3 years ago to me. I would see that and I'd be like, that's incredible. Now I see that and I'm like, you know what? Okay, that may be the 8-year goal. That may be the 5-year goal. Okay, you know what? Now that's the 3-year goal. It's getting a little bit closer each time, and just setting big, wild expectations for yourself. I like that. I've always kind of been that way. Unrealistic is the term that some of my mentors have used. Crazy. Yeah.
That's okay.
But just doing it your way is another thing it's so important. Seeing whatever it is that you want to make yourself different is what I have found attracts other people the most, because they want somebody it's why we're attracted to people who are different, sometimes for the wrong reasons. Anybody who stands out because of the way they view themselves, like you said, it's how do I see myself? Well, you look at a guy, some of these successful people, some of these athletes, they're the most just cocky, arrogant people that
Mike Tyson, I listen to his old, oh my God.
His old stuff, his new stuff, he kind of seems nice. Like he's kind of like, and I briefly met him. He trained at a gym that I trained at when I was, about 17, 18 years old. But he's a nice guy in person. But you're right. You look at like old Iron Mike or any fighter really. It's just, but they're confident. They know what they are. They know how good they are, and they're not really that good at hiding it. And that obviously comes off in certain ways. Arrogant and cocky would be two adjectives frequently used. But they know what they bring to the table, and they know what they want to achieve. That's why those people are successful.
Yeah. And if people everyone had that kind of attitude about themselves every day, whatever they do, no matter what it is, infinitely better than where they're currently at. Definitely. Because the school system in America, it doesn't teach to build yourself as far as how you view yourself. It doesn't. It's just
interesting.
Just these texts, right? These math skills and these English skills and these whatever skills they're teaching in school, it's more of just outward focused. And not necessarily that's a bad thing, but it's you're only, that saying you're as strong as your weakest link.
Sure.
And most people's weakest link is their self-image.
Of course.
Right? Like that's their weakest link. And I can tell someone's self-image without even talking to them, just by looking at them.
Yeah,
just
sometimes
the
you can,
eye contact,
Well,
the way they walk.
Your posture, the way you hold yourself, if your shoulders are rolled forward, if you're looking down, like that says a lot about someone, before you even have a conversation with them. You can kind of read them. But let's get back to what he asked originally.
That kind of ties in perfectly.
What qualities for leadership. Yeah,
and that ties
you're in a startup. I'm in a semi-startup. What do you look for when you build your team? What do you look for to create this vision?
So kind of tying into everything we just talked about is I don't look at resumes. I don't believe a resume tells me about the person, and I want to know the way they think. I want to know their mind. I don't want to know how long they've been doing something as far as jobs. I want to know how long they've been. Exactly. I don't care. Like I'm not saying that stuff's not important, but if you're gonna go in a sense to the major leagues, you have to have a winner's attitude. And that's what I look for. I look for the attitude of a winner, someone who's tired of being an A player stuck in a B game, someone who's worthy of being on varsity, but the coach keeps on putting them on JV. And that was me. I was just so frustrated. So whenever I sit down with someone, I ask them questions about their story. Because their story tells a lot about the person.
Sure.
And their story, because throughout you growing up, it kind of molds the way you think. And that's what I really want to know, the way someone thinks. And they have to have big aspirations, big goals and dreams and a vision for their life, because I don't believe in motivating people. I don't, because...
I'm the same.
Coming from a trainer.
Exactly.
I do and I don't. I mean, part of my job is naturally to do that. I mean, I literally have to. But I don't necessarily prescribe to motivational speakers, if that makes sense.
No, there's a time and place for motivation, but it's not sustainable.
It's
sorry,
not. It's not.
It's fickle. It's up and down. It's like a roller coaster.
And I feel like when it comes to something like, because there's a difference, if you're trying to find a person who's going to start a business with you and be in that for the long haul, you cannot be the person having to motivate them every day. They can't need motivation to do that.
Exactly.
With what I'm doing, it's a little different. They need motivation for a total of 45 minutes.
Yeah.
In that sense, I can provide that, and a good trainer should, but I hear what you're saying, and I'm the same way with, your life path or goal. I don't prescribe to motivational speakers. I can turn on the Rock's Instagram just like you can, and I can listen, and hear just that.
Yeah.
Are you living maxed out 100% every day? Are you living your best life? But half the time the answer is no. I'm not doing any of those things.
Exactly.
That's not normal to live that way all the time. But at the same time, you've got to have somewhat of that inside of you already. You have to have it's just like motivation. What's the word I'm looking? You've got to have conviction. You've got to have drive.
It's this integrity. It's this character. It's this grit and perseverance. And that's the thing. I believe everyone has it, but it's very muffled. It's very pushed down. It's very silenced. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the job of a coach or a mentor is to help that person see that within themselves. Because if you can help them see that within themselves, you don't have to motivate people.
Yeah.
That's what that guy that mentored me, his name's Doug Hunt. And that's what he saw, because he didn't see me for how I currently was. I saw myself how I currently was and my past self.
Yeah.
And
how many of us focus on that?
And what he saw is who I could be, my potential. And so he was trying to get me to see the way he saw me, because it's just your perspective. It's which lens you're looking at yourself. Do you see as you currently are or who you could be?
Yeah.
So I that's what I teach people is stop thinking about yourself the way you have been. I'll coach you how to think about yourself. I'll help you write down affirmations. I'll give you books to read that you can relate to.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to motivate you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pull you. Maybe there's a time I got to, help you up, but I'd rather run with one than pull 100.
Oh yeah.
And so when it comes to building anything of significance, your time is going to become less available.
Yeah.
Because
most valuable commodity
is time.
It's
something
you
you don't
as
give out.
you as the mentor, your time is as valuable or more so than theirs already. So the time spent, like you said, pulling 100 halfway motivated people could be better spent with
Just
somebody, just one,
Yeah.
who's on your same level,
Yeah.
who's already motivated. Maybe doesn't have the knowledge that you do, but
Yeah.
has the motivation to learn it.
Yeah, I don't care about skills. I don't care about knowledge. I want you to know. I just want to know you want to win. And I want you to know that you want to win. And I'll help you.
Oh, 100%.
And that's what I saw in Andrew right away. I'm like, he didn't bring in the resume. I didn't ask him about, what do you know about mortgages? I didn't care about that.
Yeah.
What I knew right away, here's a guy who wants to win in life. He wants to be around winners.
He's going to work for free.
Yeah.
Just to learn.
And I mean, because he sees the long term. He sees he doesn't, this 3 months is gone like that.
Yeah.
So 3 years from now, I mean, to be a multimillionaire in your 20s is unheard of, especially as a high school dropout. I mean, who does that?
And then in the narrative, to be that person, I feel like it oftentimes does such a disservice to people who don't reach that. And that's because it's so, people get obsessively focused on being unique, on being that, I want to be a 20-year-old millionaire. I want to be, okay, that probably won't happen to you, but that does not mean you can't do that when you're 40. It does not mean you can't, life, you're not going to get 20 and then turn 21 and explode and die.
No.
You're going to age, probably not gracefully, into your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, and you have to look at your future as the investment that you make day to day now.
Absolutely.
And that if you don't, that's the thing so much with, I feel like, our generation is there's just this, I want to be significant. Look at my post. Look at my, why am I not making an impact? How much have we heard that? I'm like, why am I making an impact? Like,
what does that even mean?
What does that mean? Yeah. Everybody, what, you want to get clickbait? You want to, I don't know. Just because you're not doing it now and just because you don't get it completely achieved in your 20s, I see my 20s as, having recently left them, my 20s were like, most of them were wasted years. Like I didn't,
like most people.
I didn't, it was not a time where I really and truly do not see myself as an achieved person really until like the last year. And that's even just, scratching the surface of achievement.
You're only getting started.
Exactly.
How old are you, Brandon?
I'm 30. I just turned 30.
Really?
Awesome. A month ago. Yeah.
Good for you,
so
man.
Very
proud of you.
I just exited. I didn't read anybody of the Riot Act. It was just like my 20s, like that. That guy on those curling championships where he's got the thing and he's going and then just freaking lets it go.
So there is a question that Bay actually wanted me to ask you is this guy's sitting over here.
Yeah.
What would you tell your early 20s self? Like if you had to give yourself advice in your early 20s, what would it be knowing what you know now?
That's a good question. In the context of like
life,
business life, and I mean, there's different things I would definitely tell myself for different like categories. Spiritually, certainly there are things I would tell myself that my life as a as a believer, as a Christian, has really not. I mean, you want to talk about wasted years in the 20s? That's really where that manifested was in my spiritual life. That's probably the biggest thing that I would tell myself is at 20 is that you're going to spend so much time between now and 30 wasting your true impact as a human being on this earth. I believe is put here by God. I believe that the legacy that we leave for the people beneath us shines brighter through faith. And that's just my personal belief. And it's one that I've only really come to respect and believe and try to live out in the last year. And throughout my 20s, I can't really go back and tell myself, you need to really focus on business. And because truly through my 20s, I mean, that's all I focused on. I mean, I'm not married, no kids. That's why I have focused on business and school, frankly. I mean, I'm still in school now. I'm doing the master's thing. So I've always been a education and a, motivation focused and a work focused person, but that leaves things in the wake.
Sure.
And
it does.
That's the biggest thing I would probably tell myself in my 20s is to, value your spirituality more, my relationship with God more as a younger man, because everything, and that's the big, it sounds so, Christian-y, but I can tell you that the biggest successes that I've seen have been after I have acknowledged that they are not from me. When you realize that they come from God, not from you, for me, I have seen everything has changed. Everything for me, my perspective, and I think it comes a lot from the perspective that you have. If you have a perspective of humility, if you have a perspective of, thankfulness and everything that comes, instead of just snatching it and then looking for the next thing. And that's all I did for so long. And I did real estate for a while. You guys mentioned mortgages. I actually did. Oh, there are flies everywhere. I did real estate for like 4 years. So in that time, I mean, that's probably for me, frankly, the peak of my, Wolf of Wall Street greed mentality. Okay, this is a money operation first and foremost. I was flipping houses. I was doing remodels. I was, like I said, I was licensed, so I was doing listings and whatnot. But it was just a constant grind that I just looked for money. Frankly, to fund this was kind of in my head.
Capital. It was a tool.
Right. It was a tool, and it was a great tool. Yep. But it's for me, from a like I said, a spiritual side, from a personal side, it's probably the low point for me.
Sure.
I didn't give a rip about passing on education, about helping people. And it affected, that's the other thing, is my perspective as of late has impacted my training and has impacted me as a trainer and as a coach and as a, now it's so weird when people start to look at you as a mentor. I'm still not really kind of okay with it. It's still kind of weird to me. I'm like, I don't know if I'm quite ready to answer your questions yet, but making that transition is a heck of a lot healthier if you have the right perspective on yourself as a person. Because it's sometimes hard when you see people who you're like, oh yeah, this guy knows what he's doing, but he's an asshole. Like
exactly.
this guy, I'm gonna get this little piece of information from him, but this guy,
he knows what he's doing, but I don't want to spend time around him.
No,
not a good guy.
And I never wanted to be that person, and I don't know that I ever really was, but certainly was a lot more than I was now. It was a pure, greed-driven mentality that had me going, and it was a barrier for me. It really kind of, we talked earlier the other day about how, money should never be the motivator because it comes out in your work, whatever that is.
Yeah, and that's the thing that, I think we all kind of understand early on is that there's a lot of money to be made in this industry, but we look at money as a vehicle for what we really want to do later on in life. And Jackson has his own thing, Corvin has his own thing. But for me, and I think the first day I met you, we kind of briefly talked about it, but you're starting to develop the cold plunge thing that you're doing.
Heck yeah. You ready to do it?
Oh, I'm so ready. I'm so excited for that. But
doing it at night.
In
the dark.
We're gonna do it, baby. Let's go. But coming from a jiu-jitsu and fighting background, I see guys are constantly injured, and no one even cares to think about recovery or all the recovery tools that they could be using to make them better and to prevent injury and to heal injuries. Right. So my big vision and big goal, and I've talked to Bay extensively about this, it's been a vision of mine for years, but I want to create a one-stop shop for recovery. And I want to call it something along the lines of the recovery lab, but something that has cold thermogenesis and contrast therapy, infrared saunas, hyperbaric chambers, red light, compression therapy, all that stuff, but all this really awesome technology that's kind of now just starting to get integrated, but have it all in one area and have it be a one-stop shop for recovery. And I've seen there's cryotherapy places, there's places that do IV drips and stuff like that, but there's not a place that has it all in one shop, one area. So that's what I really want to do with the money that I'm going to make in mortgages. And I love doing mortgages, and I love what we're cultivating, but that's the big vision.
Is that and is that kind of would you say that's the dream?
That is the dream,
to fund that and to make that, because that's okay. I had what's funny is when I was doing real estate, I was hooked up with a guy who, it's funny how you can get positive experiences from negative people. Right. I was hooked up with a guy who's probably the worst human being you'd ever meet. And he, when he asked me that, what's your vision, what's your goal? I told him, I want to do real estate for X amount of years. I want to earn money, and then eventually I want to open a gym. And right there in the spot, he shot that down. He was like, "What? This isn't your dream? You shouldn't be you get where I'm going with that." Yeah. That's so wrong. Right. You should never, ever, ever, shut down someone's vision for their future or whatever it is that they're doing. If you're using your time, doing mortgages as a vehicle to get somewhere, heck, brother, I mean, I did that. Yeah. There is nothing wrong with that. Yeah. And there is nothing wrong with taking a stepping stone in your career, doing something for the money. It's good to have something in your mind that you're passionate about that should be kind of the finish line. And
it's something that's so needed. It wouldn't be
recovery.
For sure. And that's the whole reason why I came up with the idea, is because I see how much people would benefit from it, especially in the fighting community. It's
I'm sure
people would eat it up so fast.
Picture an activity more likely to hurt you than mixed martial arts.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, everybody gets hurt. You just do. I mean, it's my knee's jacked up right now. We were drunk, but yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of the big end goal vision.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I want to accomplish that within the next 5 years. So
That's awesome,
obviously
man.
there's going to be things that I'm going to do later in life, but as of right now, as far as I can see, that's where I want to take things.
Gotcha. So you want to do this, you want to get the capital, and then you want to open up the recovery lab sort of
Absolutely.
place. I mean, obviously I'm all for it, man. Recovery is the missing element in the equation oftentimes when it comes to training.
Yeah.
And that's what, I mean, when we eventually get to the strict vision athletics, Globo gym location.
I know,
we'll
and
have
that's
something,
kinda,
and
yeah.
we'll have something going in
Right.
that regard, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I'm huge into that as well.
Absolutely.
Firm believer in the cold. I did it today. I feel amazing. You just treating your body, focusing on recovery more than the breakdown is, I think, today more important than it has been before. And especially with the advancements that we've seen in high level athletics, the demand to stay in shape all year round,
Right.
you're seeing a bigger push toward recovery than to actual training.
Yep.
And just, more time is spent doing that than the
Right.
other. And
Right.
for so long, that's not even like
Wasn't
how
even
they
a
equate.
thought.
Yeah. It's like, okay, maybe an ice bath.
Yeah.
Maybe, but probably not.
Right.
But yeah, man. No. So that's awesome. So you guys, okay, so that's your vision, Andrew. That's what you want. I mean, Jackson, what is your, if you had to say, this is my 5-year plan, this is my, what's your goal here?
Yeah, so there's different points in my life that I've thought about of, okay, where do I want to be in my 30s, 40s, and so on. And I really did see, and I still see it, that this mortgage business is truly it's just a stepping stone. That's all it is. It's not my end all be all by any means. Am I going to do the best at it that I possibly can? Absolutely. But I don't want to just do it in a way that I just want to make a lot of money. I want to teach other people how to build themselves, because I know everyone's not going to stay in it. I know that.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure people are equipped that no matter where they go in life, that they do really well for themselves. Just building people. Right?
Yeah.
So I want to use it as a capital to start getting into, other sources of income. I'm not sure exactly what they might be yet. Definitely having different forms of assets that producing passive income, because I realized that having multiple sources of passive income in different markets, most multimillionaires, most wealthy people do.
Yeah.
Because, with one market doesn't do too hot, I don't want all my eggs in one basket. So I want to be able to have the incomes that don't require necessarily you being there.
Sure.
So that way,
Trading your time for money.
Yeah, exactly.
Money that works for you.
So you're freed up. Now you have more available time to pour into people. And honestly, I want a family.
Yeah.
And I want a family-oriented life, not a work-oriented life.
Something that can, be controlled by you. Something where you set the hours, something where you can carve out the time. Yeah, that's been in my mind as of late as well. I've always been so unemployable. I'm the worst employee in the world.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't even say, I admire people that are good employees.
Yeah.
Like I really
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Because without good employees, I mean, guys like me would fall apart. But I am the worst. I'm terrible because I want to do my own thing. I got my own. I'm pretty good at time management for myself. I really do think I am, but it's got to be my time management. I hate being told what to do.
I don't know about you, Jackson, but I can say the same thing. Like, I think we're kind of all similar in that sense.
And even going back to when you asked what I would look for, and that's the thing. Like, I don't see them as employees. I see them as what mindset do they have, because you're going to have people that are going to come in and they want to be an employee, and not anything that's wrong with that, because there's a place for that kind of person.
And there's perks to that. I mean, you have
Absolutely.
a steady paycheck. You can kind of turn your brain off to where the money comes from. You get paid. It's safe.
Yeah.
You get paid this for that. And that's the missing X factor between the employee and the entrepreneur is risk.
Yeah,
Right.
that's it.
That's a lot of it, yeah.
Yeah. So I look for people that have an entrepreneurial mindset. Like, when Andrew came in, I don't see him as an employee that I'm hiring or bringing on an employee. I'm looking at, okay, here's a guy that wants a lot of great things for his life, and you have to see them as an entrepreneur, that you're partnering with entrepreneurs. You're not hiring employees. You're not giving someone a job.
No.
You're giving someone a vehicle, and then you're showing them how they can use it to the best of their abilities to get into other things, right?
Right.
So, but I just want to be able to just spend time with family, and want to make a lot of money, not necessarily just for myself. Like, there's things obviously that I want with money, but I want to give. I want to give to, organizations and charities that I believe in.
Yeah.
And I also want to give, honestly, I want to give a lot of money to just other business owners.
And you want to be comfortable enough to where you can give your time.
Exactly.
Money returns, time doesn't.
Exactly.
And that's where I see the biggest value for myself is, building something up with the right people to be successful. Obviously, everybody wants that. But to be successful in a way that allows me to give my time to improve the lives of other people. It's a real high. And it's one that I found to be exceptionally rewarding from being, a coach, is that you're helping people in a way they didn't even know was conceivably possible for them.
Yes.
And that I'm able to do that through my time, and it doesn't feel like work. Like at
and
all.
you can't place value on that too. It's just so powerful to help people realize that. That's so rewarding.
And that's cool, because today I had a realtor come in that I used to train when I worked at Mountainside, and he's a really big guy. He's like 6'5" maybe, and he was, I think, 420-ish pounds when I started training him.
Jeez.
And nothing was working for him. He was doing a whole bunch of crash diets and everything. So I put him on a fasting protocol. And he did, I think the longest fast he did was a 30-day fast, but he also has a lot of body fat, so that's kind of how he was able to do it.
Sure.
We were talking today, and he's kind of been in the same situation where he's kind of gaining weight, losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight. But he was like, I told him one day that you're like, dude, you're the strongest guy I've trained. Like, I don't know anybody that I've trained that's stronger than you. And I didn't think it was a big deal at the time, but to him, that like put him in he was zoned in on his goals after I told him that. And it really kind of, hit him in his core and said, like, you can do this. And if, me telling him gave him that power, and it's like, I didn't realize at the time that it was so significant, but it was. Yeah. And that's kind of piggybacking off of what you said about, bringing that out in people.
Yeah. Never underestimate. And sometimes you don't even realize it's happening. Right. Never underestimate the impact you have with people when you talk to them, because even if they don't know what you do or what it is when people come to me professionally, they know what I do, they know what I have done, and they ask me questions. But even somebody who's not, in asking a health question, if someone just asks you a question and you give them encouragement, or you just give them your time in any regards, you don't know if that's going to change that person's day or change that person's week or change their life. Anything like that can happen. And that sounds so hallmarky, but it really does happen even when we don't know it.
Right.
Yeah. It does. And that's how I see, the position I'm in now. That's why I don't like the term business development, because it's not business development. I mean, business is going to come from it, but it's just it's helping people just view themselves differently. It's so powerful, and I talk about it just about every day, because that's what someone did for me. Yeah. And there's no one else except just him that saw me from where I was when I started to 3 years after that. I mean, it was just completely different person. So when I tell people, my story, how I grew up and my characteristics that I had, they're like, I don't believe you. I don't see that. And that's the power behind it, because I've lived that just recently. And that's why I speak so boldly about it, because I want people to realize that within themselves so badly, that when I hear people, how they talk about themselves, it makes me emotional. It really does. And that came up in conversation. It was just yesterday, wasn't it?
It was
just the other day.
Monday. It was Monday. Yeah. So the same guy that came in today, he sent me a text that broke my heart. He said, we set up the meeting, and he was like, I'm really embarrassed to come in and see you because I've gained a lot of weight. And he's like, I don't want you to be disappointed about all this weight that I've gained. And he says like, I'm so fat. And it was just, defeating self-talk. And I was like, dude, like, we got to talk about this, because that's the number one thing that you should not be doing, is talking to yourself that way.
Yeah, I'm less concerned about what you weigh as opposed to what you're saying to me.
Right, exactly. And it's the same thing that you were saying about if your body wore the things that you said to yourself, you'd be bruised and battered.
Easily.
So yeah, that just broke. And we talked about that today when we met with him.
Yeah, and even when I saw that text, I didn't meet the guy until today. So I never talked to the guy. When I saw that text, never met him. But just seeing that one text, I got like my hair stood up. Like that's how passionate I am about how people treat themselves. And have you heard of Jordan Peterson?
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah, and you ever read his book?
No.
12 Rules for Life, phenomenal book. But he does
My
talk.
brother's reading it. He was telling me about it too.
Good. But there's a chapter in that book. It talks about the treatment of yourself. And he sums it up as treating yourself as if you're caring for someone that you care for. Like if you really care for someone, let's say if it's your mother and you love your mother to death and she's sick, you're going to do absolutely everything you can to make sure that she's well.
Right.
So why not you treat yourself the same way? And that's so powerful because that's the most important relationship that you have.
Oh, yeah.
Besides, like, let's say your faith is that yourself. Because you're with yourself for the rest of your life.
Forever.
So why not make sure that's the best, most healthy relationship?
The airport emergency metaphor. You gotta put your mask on
that's
before
it.
you put their mask on.
That's it.
And we all love our moms, we all love our family, but you're right. The most important conversations you ever have are the ones you have with yourself.
Yeah.
And when you have something in your life, and that's again getting back to my former self, my 20-year-old self, my 20-year-old self, talking to myself, there were definite conversations that I should have had with myself that I didn't, and other ones that I did that I probably shouldn't have. And that is where, just maturity through time comes in, and realizing that, you're going to project what you think about your own image.
Right.
And if you know that you will succeed because you are going to make yourself succeed, you're going to succeed.
Easily. That's it.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
And stop attaching that success to a dollar figure.
Yes.
I think Dale Carnegie, I think the quote's from Dale Carnegie. It's like, whether you think you're going to succeed or fail, you're right.
Oh, yeah, that's Henry Ford. Henry Ford. Yeah.
Is that a Henry Ford?
Yeah,
that's good. Whether you think you're right.
He says, I think he
I
says,
like that.
If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. That's what it is. It's if you think you can, you can. You really can. And if you think you can't, well, you're right. Like whatever you think, it's true. It's real. And you're going to get exactly what you think.
And as you get older, those voices get louder. That's the other thing, man. If you're uncomfortable with yourself, now do something about that, because you're going to be stuck with you forever. It's not going to get better unless you make it better.
Yeah.
And you can't be good for other people and have, fruitful relationships with other people if your relationship with yourself isn't good.
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I've realized that through my own experiences with my ex-girlfriend and all that stuff. But yeah, that's the most important relationship, is with yourself.
Yeah. Totally. Guys, this was awesome. This was a great conversation, sincerely.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what you guys, do, and we're gonna probably do this again
easily.
Oh, and I think we're all gonna kind of follow one another's journey through business and through fitness and
100%.
everything. And I'm excited. We'll do this again. We'll come up with some more topics. We'll talk about. This was kind of just a introduction, open conversation flow. But I feel like we could really dive into some topics. We could get something specific and just kind of unpack it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we could open some cans of worms for sure, man.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much. Again,
thank you,
Jackson, Andrew, Team Legacy. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.
Thanks.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of the podcast. If you guys like our content and you want to see more of it, click the subscribe button down below, or as always, you can follow us on any of our other social media platforms. Stay fit, you guys, stay healthy, and become the 1%.